Dominion series ever at the Dominion building. It was nice. It was a summer day and the light was just coming in. I think I'll start off with maybe 3 or 4 poems from my new book. And it's about surveillance and addiction and migration, so it's going to be a little bit heavy. I apologize, but it's Friday, so you can have a little time afterwards. Saturday. Yeah, and then I'll maybe read one of the poem. So this first poem I read is called Conspiracy of Love. Can everyone hear me okay? Yeah. It's called Conspiracy of Love, and I borrowed the title from a couple of lines by Anne Michaels, who's a well-known Canadian poet who I really admire. And these are from her new book called All We Saw. And she says, "You love like a conspirator against everything that has power to defeat us." And this poem is dedicated to everybody who's experienced addiction and clinical depression. So, Conspiracy of Love. The problem with trying to one-up yourself is not that you might die by your own hands, it's that you'd be able to justify why, without feeling anything. When you're in withdrawal, alone in your bed, the salt from the sweat pressed on the mattress was testimony to what you allowed. Quote, "I am Satan, because I deal in language," unquote. The next day you'd stop shaking. You went to work secular and clean. There were no other addicts and you didn't speak. You know that lives look beautiful, unified, all parts clicking together, lighting up your eyes. They're old technology made new, sleek and gleaming, in crevices like fog rolling down Brentford. And you're awake today to see it, because you've been brave. You've noticed your friend has listened and told you really boring things, not dismiss them as errands. This is a task you will have to do, soon enough, remembering all the ways your mind moved, to write yourself into a poem you want to call Conspiracy of Love. When the guy from Tinder said hi to you in school, it didn't strike you that he might know you from the internet. You didn't remember who he was, not even when he called you by your fake name. All you thought was, oh, I can't do this again. I want to be clean. I want to be Shazia, unquote. If you end this poem here, it might make sense, but we both know this kind of work is a cult. So you have to ask me, how do you want to finish this poem? You have to leave it there. That way, at least it's not about you anymore. Did I read too fast? Sometimes I just feel like it's better to ask as opposed to me just thinking about it. Too fast. And this one is called Secret Playground. I didn't tell you of the hands that led the internet cable into the sea, that they were brown, or that I was thinking of rows of royal blue binders in a hospital in Afghanistan, records of amputations from drone strikes. I saw this on TV, as in my laptop, torrents, Netflix. It doesn't make sense to ask if words will ever stop failing me, but I want to ask it. What does it take for a 3-year-old who lived on M&Ms and barely escaped the Gulf War to call the first part of her life simulacra? I didn't tell you because I still don't believe it. In Toronto, I read a poem about another part of my life, one I still find hard to believe when I'm not with myself. A stranger asked me afterwards, "Are you really clean though?" I was. I hadn't done any drugs. I couldn't believe his guts, but I did, because I smiled and nodded, as if I just signed him a check. Then I caught my phone with both hands and bowed my head, as if to say, someone's calling me, and I have to go, as if in fear, as if in thanks. on my Roma bus. On the beeline. So I go to UBC every day. It takes about an hour, so. Thank God for the bus rides. That's so different in this book. Beeline style. A silver flake from the surveillance cam above me fell into my lap on the bus. It was not made of light, but I don't know where it disappeared. In my glimpse of a spile, I saw the necessity of doubling. So I waited to see myself in all the people who departed. But they stepped off too fast, or I was just tired. Wet lights on the window slunk into each other, like a taboo on fingers stringing a rosary. The guy next to me was editing a photo of his girlfriend. It was backlit, and we could see the sleep in her hair. He saw me looking and smiled. I was banking on memories of love to respond, but I was a body with insides of red ginger stuck on the bus with a stranger who had seen someone, really seen her. I began to look at those who were arriving. I smiled at a few. One of them sat down, expectant, like a statue in the rain. On Broadway, I found others looking at a drone overhead. It was a really sci-fi day. I think I read a poem from my parents. It's called Parents Come. I've organized my desktop and done my work for the day. I have no obligation to be anywhere. I eat a Milky Way in my bed, listen to Sade, and wait for the foghorns at 3 a.m. I'm happy and alone. Why do I want to see the world like parents who look at any kid and see their own, making faces to usher the forgetting of pain? It's not that I want to be a parent. When I go to another city, I lie to my company and visit a mall to look at people who live in that place, who choose to meet there. It makes me small, sad, and comforted, like waiting in line for my parents at Walmart on a Sunday as they finish whatever it is they do, when they look for a new gadget or pillow, and I roll my eyes, half playing the part of the pissed off kid, as they buy me chocolate and bubbles, even though I'm almost half their age, and they've just finished complaining about money. You gotta love your parents, right? I did that just yesterday, the exact same thing. Just like waiting in line, what are they buying? Here's a pot of gold chocolates, and I took. I think I'll end with a new one that I wrote, and I feel like at the end of this book I made a breakthrough, an emotional sort of breakthrough, where I felt like I needed to write about my parents and the things that they'd been through, because so much of it was about me and about my experience just coming through all this difficult stuff. And I realized at the end of the book that I hadn't written about them. So now I've been writing about them. This one's called You and the Muezzin. And a muezzin is a person who recites the call to prayer in a mosque that has one of those minarets. So the call to prayer is said from a loudspeaker, and you can hear it like across a very wide distance. It's very loud. And sometimes pleasant, sometimes scary. You and the muezzin. I'm far away from being able to ask if you know what it's like to not know a gift. The woman next to me cups her hands around tubs of food in her tote bag. She's smiling, like a child carrying a secret, injury, or a pet snake. When I look outside, a man is asking to be closer, and I want to sing or read. Its fuzzed stubble body swollen with swamp air. Alert, stinging, cocaine straight to the head. A task I'd given myself to ask, how far away you were then and now again. When you're ready for bed and remember that you slept, 4 in the same room, Mom and Dad, your sister and you, in the dark, breathing quietly, too quietly. So you hummed, and they hummed back, and you hummed, and they hummed. Then they lurched you into it, your giving, mending you into night and morning. You woke up before 6 and hid under the blanket, hoping it was dark. But the sky was fish-skin tarp, the promise of an opening. You hummed again to forget the jackal whirling through the rubbish. You hummed to drown out the call to prayer, azan from a loudspeaker. You hummed, you and the muezzin, both asking others to listen. That is all. Creative process, right? When I wrote this book, the first book, I was going through a couple of really difficult things. And it's taken me a while to be able to explain them, but I'm going to try to be as precise as I can. Last year I left a job, and I was super depressed, and I was just clinically depressed, and I'd experienced depression before. I'm a recovered addict, so I'd experienced all of that before. And before that year, so 2 years from now, someone stole my laptop and my phone from my house in East Vancouver, and I just stepped out of the house for about 5 minutes, and the person stole my stuff. And about a couple of weeks after that was stolen, they followed me. They called and repeatedly asked to talk to me. So this went on for about 4 or 5 months, maybe 6 months. And I just sort of tried to repress it and try not to think about it. And then it really started coming up a year later when I quit my job and I was starting to feel really depressed again. And in the past, I knew that what had helped me was listening. It was just like listening to music and listening to the sounds. I could usually go into the forest and listen to the sounds record the sounds of the leaves, or just listening, very deep listening. And this time I couldn't do it because sometimes when you're depressed, it's really hard to find motivation to get out of bed and just go to do anything, even though that sounds so trite. It is pretty difficult. And so I knew that's what I had to do, but I couldn't find the motivation to do it. And then I came upon this work of art called Following Piece by Vito Conchi, who's a performance artist from New York. And in the 70s, what he did was he followed people on the streets of New York City, just random people, and he followed them for hours at a time until they entered a private space. And so you can imagine, when I found out about him, I was like enraged. I was like, here's another dude, you know. He's following people. And it brought up so much anger in me. It brought out whatever I've been trying to repress the year before after I'd been stalked. And so I decided that I would see what it felt like to go outside of the city and to follow people. I didn't do it to the extent that he did, but I did follow people on the waterfront for about 2 to 3 minutes until they reached like a cafe or somewhere else where I couldn't enter. And I recorded the words that they said, the conversations that they said. And the first part of this book opens with the words that they said. So that was part of the process that kickstarted everything. And then I gradually saw that a lot of the themes that were coming up for the book were surveillance related. Like I couldn't stop reading about drones and reading about surveillance and mapping the surveillance cameras in my neighborhood. Like I'd become obsessed with the theme. And so a lot of the poems ended up being about surveillance. And later on I sort of made a breakthrough again into myself, where I started talking about my family and my addiction and recovery. So that was the process with Bombay. Yeah, it's definitely not a clean process. What I'm interested in right now. So like I said earlier, I made an emotional breakthrough at the end of this book where I wanted to write about my parents and my family, and right now that's what I'm trying to do. And I'm trying to I call my mom up and I say, where is your brother now? What is he doing? And she'll, depending on her mood, she'll tell me a different story. So that's very difficult. But my family has so many stories, you know, especially I'm trying to trace the narrative of my great-grandpa right now. And apparently he was an opium dealer at one point, and he was a merchant of fez fats at another point. And then he was also an indentured laborer on the railroad in East Africa. They brought Indian people to work on the railroads there, the British colonial rule. So that's one of the stories that he's taken part, you know, that my family talks about as well. So I'm really trying to figure out how it all fits together if one man can do all these things, you know. But I'm definitely very much interested in the opium dealer part because that would make sense for me completely. Finally, wouldn't feel like a black sheep, right? Yeah. So yeah, it's been. I'm trying to work with fragments. I'm trying to work at a novel, and I'm trying to work towards the novel through poetry because all I have are the fragments, and then so once I've got those fragments, I feel like I can make way in the novel. I can find a way to piece it together. But it's very difficult. It's Jeopardy time.
Are you finding this process of yours is cathartic? Is it helping you with the issues that you've had to come to terms with?
Yeah, definitely. Especially with my family, I was really scared about how this would be received because it was the first time I'd actually spoken openly about anything. And, you know, I kept so much of what I've been through from my family, but they took it really well, and I was surprised. I was just surprised. So it feels like I'm finally able to be myself, be who I am, you know, with all the bad things that I've done and who I am now. So it feels really good.
Well, that's just excellent. You're very brave.
Oh, thank you.
What is it like to jump from poetry to novel writing?
I don't know what I'm doing, to be honest. I've written stories before, and it feels like right now the thing that I'm really struggling with is the timeline. I feel like I actually have to plot it out in a way, and I have to get the timeline straight. And maybe that's because I'm working with my family stories, and I just can't keep it all in my head. So right now there's a big, actually bought scroll piece of paper from Staples. You just get one of those like long, you know, pieces of rolling paper that are not rolling paper, paper on a roll that hasn't been cut. And so now they're all just on the edge of the wall of my bedroom. And it's just like a timeline. I'm still trying to figure it out. Yeah. Scene by scene though, I feel like if I approach it scene by scene, then it feels more like a poem. Have you ventured into fiction yet?
Yes.
Yeah. I thought you were.
They usually end up being like the two things that I've written. The two things that I've written have been like existential, like queer, like fan fiction of existential philosophers.
Oh,
And I'm just like, what? Okay, this is like instead of engaging with their philosophy, I'm just talking about like their love lives. It's like an alternate
It's like an alternate history of some sort.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Does anyone else have any questions? Thank you very much,
Thank you.
everyone.